Stop for this moment, because what has just been uncovered was not supposed to reach your ears this way. Something moved behind the veil of your life today. A truth that was buried under pride, silence, old wounds, and hidden conversations has begun to rise, and the one who revealed it is not the person you expected. It did not come from the mouth of your soulmate. It did not arrive through a gentle confession. It came through someone from their past, someone who once stood close enough to them to know what they hide when their voice is calm, what they fear when they pretend to be strong, and what they still feel when they try to convince everyone they have moved on. Your soulmate's ex has revealed something, and heaven wants you to understand this carefully, because this revelation is not random. It is not gossip. It is not a mistake. It is not just a message passing through human mouths. There are moments when the truth cannot remain buried any longer, and when the heart refuses to speak, heaven allows another voice to shake open the door. You were never meant to know this yet. Not because heaven wanted to keep you in confusion. Not because you were unworthy of the truth, but because the timing around this connection has been delicate, and some revelations, if they arrive too early, can break what they were meant to heal. But now something has changed. A hidden page has turned. A private conversation has escaped the room where it was supposed to stay, and what was spoken has the power to change the way you see everything that has happened between you and this person. You have been wondering why their energy has felt close and distant at the same time. You have asked yourself why they seem unable to fully come forward, yet unable to fully let go. You have felt moments when your spirit knew they were thinking of you, even when their actions looked cold. You have sensed a pull that did not make sense, a silence that carried emotion, a delay that felt personal, a distance that felt planned. And now heaven is telling you that there was a reason. There was something your soulmate did not tell you, something connected to their past, something connected to an old bond that did not end cleanly, even if it ended outwardly. And the one who just revealed it may not even understand the full spiritual weight of what they released. They thought they were exposing your soulmate. They thought they were saying something to create doubt, to stir emotion, to make themselves look powerful, to remind someone that they still knew parts of the story. But they did not realize that even a jealous mouth can become a doorway for divine timing. Even a bitter heart can accidentally deliver a message heaven allowed. Even someone trying to disturb your peace can reveal the very thing that brings you clarity. Listen closely, because what has been revealed is not only about your soulmate's past. It is about why your name has been protected, why your connection has been watched, and why this person has been carrying feelings they did not have the courage to fully show. There is a reason their ex spoke now. Not last month. Not when you were desperately waiting. Not when your heart was softer and easier to shake. Now, after you have grown quieter. After you have stopped chasing answers from people who only gave you confusion. After you have begun to protect your own energy. After you have learned that love should not require you to beg for truth. That is when the hidden thing surfaced. Because heaven does not reveal certain truths to a wounded version of you. Heaven waits until you can hear them without losing yourself. And this is why you must stay with this message. Because the first thing you need to know is this. Your soulmate's ex did not reveal the whole truth. They revealed only the edge of it. The part they could see. The part they could twist. The part they thought would create a reaction. But behind what they said, there is a deeper truth they do not understand. And that deeper truth is the reason your soul has not been able to fully disconnect. Your soulmate tried to bury their feelings for you under duty, distraction, pride, fear, and old emotional debts. They tried to convince themselves that what they felt for you was temporary. They told themselves they were only curious. They told themselves it was only attraction. They told themselves it would fade if they stopped looking, stopped checking, stopped remembering, stopped comparing. But it did not fade. It grew quieter, yes. It moved underground. It became less visible. But it did not die. And someone from their past noticed. That is the part your soulmate did not expect. Their ex noticed the change before your soulmate admitted it. They noticed the difference in their voice. They noticed the pauses. They noticed how your soulmate stopped reacting the same way. They noticed how your soulmate's attention had moved somewhere else, even when their body was still present. They noticed that certain conversations no longer reached them. Certain emotional games no longer worked. Certain old memories no longer had the same power. And when a person from the past realizes they are losing influence, they begin searching for the name behind the shift. That is where you entered the story. Not loudly, not dramatically, not by forcing anything, but by existing in a place inside your soulmate that their ex could no longer enter. And that frightened them. Because the deepest fear of someone who once had access to another person's heart is not always being replaced. Sometimes it is realizing they were never loved in the way someone else is now being loved silently. That truth can shake a person. It can make them compare. It can make them watch. It can make them speak before they think. And that is what happened. Something slipped out. A sentence. A confession. A detail. A truth wrapped in emotion. And though it may have sounded small to others, heaven says it carried confirmation for you. Because the thing they revealed was connected to what your soulmate has been hiding from everyone. Your soulmate has spoken about you. Maybe not in a direct way every time. Maybe not with your full name in every conversation. Maybe not with open certainty. But your presence has been mentioned. Your energy has been described. Your effect on them has been noticed. And someone close to their past understood that you were not just another person. That is why the ex reacted. They would not react this way to someone meaningless. They would not reveal hidden things about someone who had no emotional impact. They would not feel the need to speak if your name did not disturb something inside the old story. The revelation came because your connection has been stronger than the silence around it. And now heaven is asking you to see beyond the surface. Do not only ask, what did they say? Ask, why did it come out now? Do not only ask, is it true? Ask, what part of this truth was heaven allowing me to finally understand? Because there is a difference between information and revelation. Information fills the mind. Revelation wakes the spirit. And what came forward was meant to wake something in you that has been sleeping under disappointment. You thought maybe you imagined the connection. You thought maybe you cared too much. You thought maybe your intuition was creating hope out of nothing. But no, there was something real there. There was something your soulmate could not easily explain. There was something their past could feel, even when you were not in the room. And that is why the ex revealed something you were never meant to know. Because your soulmate's inner world has not been as hidden as they believed. Their emotions have left traces. Their silence has left evidence. Their choices have created patterns. And someone who used to know them well saw those patterns changing. The ex saw that your soulmate was not emotionally available to the past in the same way anymore. They saw that something inside them had turned. They saw that a door was closing where it once remained slightly open. And because people do not always surrender gracefully when they feel their influence fading, they spoke. But here is where you must be wise. Not everything that comes from an ex comes with pure intention. Some truths are mixed with poison. Some revelations arrive wrapped in exaggeration. Some people reveal just enough to disturb you, but not enough to free you. So heaven says, do not swallow their words blindly. Do not let their tone become your truth. Do not let their bitterness define your understanding. Listen for the part heaven is confirming. The part that brings clarity. The part that explains what your spirit already sensed. The part that gives you peace, not panic. Because this revelation was not sent to make you chase. It was not sent to make you compete. It was not sent to pull you into old drama. It was sent to show you that what you felt was not imaginary. It was sent to show you that even when your soulmate tried to hide their emotions, the truth still found a way to breathe. And now, something is shifting. Your soulmate does not know how much has been revealed. Or if they know, they are unsettled by it. Because there are truths a person hides not because they are cruel, but because they are afraid of what those truths will require them to become. Your soulmate knows that admitting what they feel for you would mean facing what they avoided. It would mean leaving behind old attachments. It would mean being honest about the emotional confusion they allowed to continue. It would mean disappointing people who expected them to stay the same. It would mean stepping out of a version of themselves that survived by pleasing others, delaying decisions, and pretending they were unaffected. And you, my beloved child, became the mirror they could not ignore. Your presence did not simply attract them, it confronted them, not with anger, not with pressure, but with truth. You made them aware of the difference between comfort and connection, between habit and love, between being wanted and being understood, between someone holding on to them and someone awakening them. This is why the ex felt threatened, because they sensed that you were not just entering your soulmate's life, you were revealing a version of your soulmate that the past could not control. That is the hidden battle you were feeling. You thought the silence was about you not being enough, but heaven says the silence was also about your soulmate not knowing how to become honest without destroying an old illusion. They had built a life, or at least an identity, around certain emotional patterns. They had learned to keep the peace by hiding the truth. They had learned to stay where things were familiar, even when their heart was no longer fully present. They had learned to avoid conflict by delaying clarity. But then you came, and suddenly delay became painful. Suddenly pretending became heavier. Suddenly the old explanations no longer worked. Suddenly your soulmate began to feel the cost of not choosing truth. And someone from the past saw that cost. They saw the restlessness. They saw the mood changes. They saw how your soulmate became quiet at certain moments. They saw how your soulmate avoided certain questions. They saw how your soulmate became protective when your name, your energy, or your presence was mentioned. And now one piece has escaped. But this is only the beginning. Because the ex did not reveal this because they wanted you blessed. They revealed it because they felt something slipping out of their hands. And when people speak from fear, they often expose more than they intend. They may have wanted to make you doubt your soulmate, but heaven used it to make you see your own value. They may have wanted to pull you into comparison, but heaven used it to show that you are not in the same category as the past. They may have wanted to make themselves look important, but heaven used their words to reveal that they are still reacting to a connection they cannot control. This is why you must not lower yourself into emotional competition. You are not called to fight for a place that heaven has already marked. You are not called to prove your worth to someone who only sees love as possession. You are not called to enter a battle of who was first, who knew them longer, who shared more history, or who has more memories. History is not always intimacy. Time is not always depth. Access is not always love. Some people stay near a person for years and never touch the place in them that you reached with one moment of genuine presence. And that is what made the ex uneasy. Your connection did not need years to be felt. It did not need constant contact to leave a mark. It did not need public proof to create private movement. It touched something deeper. And your soulmate has been trying to understand that quietly. There were nights when they replayed something you said. There were moments when they wanted to reach out, then stopped. There were times when they opened a message, a photo, a memory, or a thought connected to you, and felt their chest tighten in a way they could not explain. There were days when they tried to return fully to their old life, only to realize that something in them had changed, and that change became visible, even when they said nothing. The ex noticed because people from the past are often sensitive to the moment they are no longer the center of someone's emotional world. They notice the silence before others do. They notice the missing warmth. They notice the distracted eyes. They notice when a person is physically present but spiritually elsewhere. And your soulmate has been spiritually elsewhere. Part of them has been with you, even when distance separated you, even when pride held them back, even when confusion made them act indifferent. This does not excuse everything. Heaven is not asking you to ignore pain. Heaven is not asking you to romanticize inconsistency. Heaven is not asking you to accept crumbs and call them destiny. No, heaven is showing you the hidden truth so you can stand in wisdom. Because clarity is not always a command to return. Sometimes clarity is a command to rise. Sometimes truth comes not to make you run toward someone, but to help you stop blaming yourself. You needed to know that you were not foolish for sensing their feelings. You needed to know that their silence was not proof of emptiness. You needed to know that another person's interference did not erase the spiritual weight of what was happening. You needed to know that even the person connected to their past could see what your soulmate was trying to hide. But now comes the part that is more delicate. The ex revealed something because they are afraid your soulmate is closer to a decision than you realize. There is movement happening behind the scenes. Not the loud kind. Not the kind that appears instantly on the outside. But the inner kind. The kind that begins when a person can no longer sleep comfortably inside a lie. Your soulmate has started to see the difference between what they owe the past and what they feel called toward. And that realization has disturbed the old order. The past is reacting because the future is pressing closer. The ex is speaking because silence is no longer protecting them. The hidden truth is rising because your soulmate's inner conflict is reaching a point where something must break open. This is why your energy has felt strange lately. You may have felt sudden thoughts of them. You may have felt heaviness without knowing why. You may have dreamed, remembered, or sensed their presence in a way that made no practical sense. You may have felt like something was about to happen, but you could not name it. That was your spirit catching movement before your eyes could see it. Because souls often recognize shifts before circumstances confirm them. And heaven is telling you now, something has been stirred. A private truth has crossed into the open. And your soulmate is about to realize that hiding is no longer working. But do not misunderstand. This does not mean everything becomes simple overnight. When truth rises, people do not always embrace it immediately. Some tremble, some deny, some become defensive, some withdraw for a moment because they know that once they admit what is real, they can no longer live as if they do not know. Your soulmate may feel exposed. They may feel angry that their past spoke. They may feel embarrassed. They may feel afraid that you will misunderstand. They may wonder how much you know. They may wonder if you have judged them. They may wonder if the door between you has closed because they waited too long. And this fear matters. Because beneath their silence, there is a question they have not been brave enough to ask. Would you still see their heart if you knew the mess around it? Would you still believe their feelings if you saw how tangled their situation became? Would you still understand that their delay was not always lack of love, but lack of courage? Would you still be there if they finally came with the truth? But heaven says, your answer does not need to be rushed. Your peace matters too. Your healing matters too. Your dignity matters too. You are not here to rescue someone from the consequences of their silence. You are here to recognize truth without abandoning yourself. And that is why this message has reached you with urgency, but not pressure. Heaven is not pushing you into someone's arms blindly. Heaven is preparing your spirit for what is coming next. Because when hidden things begin to surface, the next movement often happens quickly. A message may come. A confession may be attempted. A mutual connection may say something unexpected. A sign may appear through timing so precise that you cannot ignore it. Or your soulmate may suddenly act in a way that reveals what their mouth still cannot say. But before that happens, you must be grounded. Because the ex's revelation could easily pull you into emotional reaction. It could make you overthink. It could make you compare yourself. It could make you wonder what happened between them. It could make you feel betrayed by things you did not know. But heaven says, pause. Do not let a fragment of truth become a storm inside you. A fragment is not the whole story. And the whole story is still unfolding. There are things your soulmate has not spoken. There are reasons they held back. There are fears they have hidden even from themselves. There are details the ex does not know. And there is a divine timing around this situation that is far more complex than human gossip can explain. The ex revealed the outside layer. Heaven is revealing the spiritual layer. And the spiritual layer is this. Your soulmate has been under pressure from the past, but their heart has been responding to you. They may have tried to be fair to everyone, but in doing so, they became dishonest with themselves. They may have tried to avoid hurting someone, but their avoidance created deeper confusion. They may have believed silence was safer, but silence became the place where truth grew louder. And now the very person connected to the old story has exposed that something has changed. This is not the end of the matter. It is the first crack in the wall. And once a wall begins to crack, light does not ask permission to enter. You may soon discover that your soulmate has protected your name in conversations where others questioned you. You may learn that they defended you more than you knew. You may hear that they became restless when someone tried to dismiss what they felt. You may find out that the ex was not angry because your soulmate forgot them, but because your soulmate remembered you at moments when they were expected to be fully present elsewhere. That is a painful truth for everyone involved. But it is also a revealing truth. Because love that has no power does not disturb the room. Your presence disturbed the old room. Your energy changed the emotional temperature. Your absence created questions. Your silence made your soulmate face themselves. And your soulmate's ex felt that shift like a door closing in the dark. That is why something was revealed. But there is one more thing heaven wants you to hold carefully. The ex may have revealed the truth, but they did not reveal the reason your soulmate has been afraid. And this reason is deeper than pride, deeper than confusion, deeper than simple hesitation. Your soulmate has been afraid that choosing you would require them to become the person they kept postponing. Not just a lover, not just someone who sends a message, not just someone who says beautiful words when emotions are high, but someone honest, someone accountable, someone brave enough to close old doors without needing applause, someone willing to stand before you without excuses, someone who can say, "I should have told you sooner," and mean it. That kind of truth changes a person, and your soulmate knows it. This is why they have moved slowly, not because your soul was not powerful, but because your connection demanded a level of honesty they were not used to giving. You were not sent into their life to be another distraction. You became a threshold, a crossing point, a place where they could no longer remain half awake. And some souls resist awakening at first. They return to familiar shadows. They cling to old explanations. They let others define their choices. They say they need time, but what they really need is courage. And now courage is being demanded. Because the ex has spoken. The hidden pressure has become visible. The old emotional system is no longer quiet. And your soulmate can feel that something must be addressed. There is a conversation forming in their spirit, a sentence they have rehearsed but not sent, a truth they have swallowed more than once, a confession sitting behind their silence like a flame behind a closed door. And if you have felt restless lately, it is because your spirit knows that door is heating from the inside. Something is close. But before it opens, heaven is asking you to remember who you are. You are not the secret. You are not the second option. You are not the person waiting outside someone else's unfinished story, hoping to be chosen. You are a soul with divine worth. You are a person whose love carries weight. You are someone who deserves clarity, respect, consistency, and truth. And if this connection is meant to rise, it must rise in the light, not in confusion, not in hidden messages, not in comparison, not in old emotional triangles, in the light. That is why the revelation came now, because anything that cannot survive truth was never meant to be your peace. And anything that belongs to heaven will be purified by truth, not destroyed by it. Your soulmate may be shaken. The ex may be watching. People around them may be whispering. But heaven is not confused. Heaven knows what is real. Heaven knows what was hidden. Heaven knows who spoke from fear, who stayed silent from pain, and who has been waiting with a heart that deserved honesty. And now the balance is shifting. The person from the past has unknowingly opened a door they cannot close. They thought revealing this would give them control, but what they did was remove a covering. They exposed the very sign that your connection had impact. They confirmed that your soulmate was not untouched by you. They confirmed that the past felt threatened by your presence. They confirmed that something about you reached a place in your soulmate that no old bond could fully reclaim. And now your soulmate must face what has been revealed. They can deny it. They can delay. They can pretend nothing happened. But inside, they know. They know the truth has started moving. They know someone spoke too much. They know your name, your energy, or your place in their heart is no longer as hidden as they wanted it to be. And because of that, their next move will reveal more than their words ever did. Watch what changes. Watch who becomes nervous. Watch who tries to pull your attention into drama. Watch who suddenly wants to explain. Watch who goes quiet because they realize the truth is catching up. But most of all, watch your own spirit. Because heaven is preparing you not only to hear what was revealed, but to understand what was never spoken. There is still a missing piece. A piece the ex did not say. A piece your soulmate has been guarding. A piece connected to the real reason they could not release you, even when they tried. And when that piece comes forward, it will make sense of the distance, the silence, the emotional pull, the strange timing, and the reason your name kept returning to places you never physically entered. This is why you were brought here. Not to panic, not to chase, not to fear, but to be ready, because the revelation has begun, and once heaven allows a hidden truth to rise, it does not stop halfway. The first secret has been spoken, the second is already moving, and the next thing you discover may change everything you believed about why your soulmate stayed silent for so long.